All right, guys. Sean, Leslie the for Dummies. Gonna take my LE apart today, and hopefully do it in a manner that things don't go flying. Full disclaimer: do not ever recommend taking your Byrna apart. It can be a bear to put back together. So taking what I learned from my SD, taking it apart, I got a couple of different things. Well, got a little tray to put my parts in because there are some small bits in this guy. Standard set of Imperial Allen keys, and I believe it was a T5, a Torx bit to get this safety screw out. So let's get going. All right, so first thing, obviously, make sure there's no CO2 in it. You can see I got my mats double stacked today. I really wanted the magnetic portion of this tech mat, but I know you guys complained about this one being a little bit harder to see, so I just doubled the orange up on it. Oh, CO2 out. That was empty anyways. Mag out. And what better time than the present than to start putting stuff into the case so I do not lose it. All right, we have to remove the boost adapter first. And I've never done this. So I'm assuming just gotta take out all these Allens. Oh, and I see here, these are kind of interlocked, so we gotta split them. Oh, it's hard on my fingernails. I should probably get a screwdriver, but we'll try it like this. There we go. Like that. As I said, I'm just gonna put these loosely back together so I don't lose my nuts. And we'll set that over there. All right, so what did I learn from the last time? Is try and leave this side of the selector switch on. So before I do anything, I'm going to undo this Torx bit here. Let's see, was I right? T5? No, T6. It would appear to be a T6. Let's just try T7. T7, no. So according to my Princess Auto little Torx bits here, it's a T6. Come on. Of course, my bit is not magnetic, so there we go. And they are little guys, and this is why I say get yourself a little case. And I'm gonna see if I can pluck this off right now. Reason I'm taking just the one side off, guys, is this pin here has to be oriented a certain way, and we'll see when we open it up. There's a couple of notches which gives you that kind of defined click. So I found when I removed them both, I wasn't able to, I had to do trial and error to try and get those notches in the correct location. Now I know if I don't remove this side, as long as my selector is falling in this little window here, that I will be okay. So, all right, next, top cover. Slide's gotta come off. What I like to do here is flathead screwdriver, and I use a little bit of this kind of hockey tape here, just because I don't like to scratch things up, as you probably already know from all my other videos. Some people aren't as picky as me, but yeah, that's the case with me. So just gotta pry this securement pin out. See, like that. So once you got it started like that, and you can get your finger on it, you just pull it out. You want to try and pull it straight out. You don't want to get this thing, it's just a wire, so it can kind of shift like this, and you can bend it and it'll make it very difficult to put back together. So try and pull it straight out. And if you notice at the very end, it's gonna have a okay, guys. Well, this wire was very easy to pull out, unlike my my SD. This wire, unlike my SD, is straight. So on the SD, it has a little kick up here at the end, which I believe was designed kind of to put a little tension in here, and it locks this in place. But I mean, in all honesty, this wire's, it's so long, it ain't coming out anyways. So there is no orientation for this anymore. It just goes straight in. All right, move your top slide. There is going to be 2 springs under this indicator here, so gotta be careful. This top cap just lifts right off, like that. And here's your indicator, and you can see those 2 little springs under there. And they are just placed in there. Oh, and one fell out. That's how easy they go. Well, let's put this one away before we lose it. Put my indicator in there, and let's look closely for this spring. It probably went on the ground already, and boy, they are small. And just like that, the spring is gone, unless it fell inside my marker, but well, this is exactly why you don't take your Byrna apart. Well, it'll turn up. Maybe. Because it is a tiny guy. All right, well, it's funny, it didn't fall very far. Must have just bounced. Okay, let's keep going. Let's get rid of this thing. It's kind of in the way here. Next are the clamshell screws. Now, what I'm gonna do is remove this one, and then these three here completely. I'll remove this one completely, but I'm gonna leave this one attached, as it holds this trigger group to the back side of the clamshell, which I didn't do last time, but we will see if this works any better. So let's take these guys out of here. I'm gonna lay them out just briefly here to see if they are of the same size as the SD. I believe they are, so shortest ones are up front. Trigger group is medium. And these ones are nutted on the back. So I don't think the nuts, yep, they fell out. Just gonna put it back together here. So a long one is through the back. And a not as long one is the bottom of the grip. So keep those set right in there. All right, so we are going to open this guy up. And now this is where things start to go flying, and I'm hoping I don't lose any more springs, but right here especially, I'm just gonna try to be careful. There's some stuff go ding in there. Those are the springs unwinding. We have something stuck to the back here. And it's definitely, wow. Definitely different looking in here, guys. Looking at this sort of cantilever arm here. Your selector, it looks, that's the hammer. The pivot, wow, looks a lot different. And, okay, let's try. Trying to figure where this connection point came from here before I move anything too much. One thing to note is this block off that everybody was wondering about. Right there. where the hammer spring tension was adjusted on the SD. Doesn't. There is no spring. There's no adjustment whatsoever. So I'm actually gonna pause the video here. I need to take some still photos of this, so I have a blueprint to go back together, because that does not look like an SD inside, guys. Okay, we're back. So yeah, adjuster block off doesn't actually hide anything that we can mess with. I'm trying to figure where this kind of cantilever came from. I believe holy smokes, this valve is so much different in there, guys. Okay, I believe the cantilever is on this part here. Yes. I'm gonna need to take another picture. Right, so yeah, cantilever goes on that, and then this plate covers that mechanism. All right, so we're gonna start pulling this thing down to the valve here. So we're gonna take it off piece by piece. And you guys, I wish I could call out these parts, but I don't know. I don't even know what we call these parts, because I've never seen anything like this. I need to get the spring off here, and this, I can feel tension already coming off. Sorry guys if I'm not, can't see what's going on here. So that is the selector sort of pivot. Okay, take this spring off here. What's next? Well, that wasn't the selector, sorry, that was the, looks like the catch, the sear. So what's gonna come off next here? this pin has a short taper and a long taper. The long taper goes down into the marker, like that. I have no idea. I have no idea, guys. There is a spring in here. Guess we can take our mag release off here. So I'll give you a closer look here. This spring here is the poppet spring. So normally when so what I did originally inside this valve was I reduced the tension on this spring. This one looks a whole lot different, and we'll see once I actually get it out of there. But it appears to have a very long throw. Looks like this whole thing's gonna come up in one shot. So I'm gonna lift the air valve out of here, and this spring's gonna wanna fire out of here, so I'm just gonna do it gently, hopefully. I'm gonna try and get this little coil out of there. I don't know if it's got a hook on the other side, so I'm being kind of gentle not to. Yeah, I could have a hook on it, so. Okay, you know what? Just so I don't lose anything crazy here, I'm gonna pull some of this stuff out of here. looks very much like the SD. The cutout facing down towards the mag well. I think now would be a good time to actually remove the trigger mech here. Dogs are barking like crazy. I wish it was a Postman with my 16-gram adapter, but Postman don't deliver on the weekend, so I'm carefully trying to pull this out of here. And I know why it's not coming out now. It's because I still have the selector in here, so I'm gonna remove that. Looking at this now, I probably would have removed both sides of this selector, but not knowing what was inside here, I did it the way I thought was best here, so. Inside here, there's probably gonna be a couple of springs, so I gotta be careful. And those are the notches for the sort of the click you feel. Just carefully pushing it out from the other side. I can already feel it's trying to push this whole valve out. Look at that. This thing is so much different, guys, like crazy. And here's what I was talking about with this spring. Why I didn't want to pull it too hard. See, it has a little like a J hook on the back. So it was gonna come out, but not straight up. I would have had to pry it up like this and then pull it out. I'm gonna leave it in there for now like that. Makes kind of guessing where parts go on the reassembly. This is some sort of alignment for the valve. Man, this thing looks like Chinese to me. And this is not anything I've seen before. Some of the internal workings look the same. Good thing I took pictures. It's got some weird, you know what? And it's this. You need to be careful here, guys. This the safety selector here stayed intact. My SD did not. When you remove this, there are two tiny little springs in there and a little detent that is secured with this Allen head here right in the front. You do not want to mess with that. Those are little buggers to get working properly. So Has this backing plate on it. This would appear to be the valve spring. And it is. And I see something right away here that may add to some horsepower increase. So the way this valve appears to work is that is the spring. It's external now. On my SD, the valve spring was internal. Now I don't know that for sure yet. I haven't opened it up. But this guide pin also acts as a stop. This particular pin here was backed right against the marker on the inside. So it can't shift backwards. It's locked in like that. And when this charges, or no, that's a return spring. Okay, no, it's not, because this is not. Okay, well, we'll reserve judgment till I open this completely up. This doesn't look much different, although something I notice. Look at this side. And then look at this side. There's some sort of insert in there. Could be a restrictor. Catch it there? Yeah. Definitely something inside there. So we will pick at that. I'm really curious about this valve. Oh, there's another piece. The trigger. Probably put this, well. Let's see if I can put it back in here. Oops. So, I know I was speaking with LLAF about, he was shortening his bolt spring here. So, the trigger is spring loaded, sort of. It has this really weak spring in here. But that's all there is. So, shortening your barrel spring would definitely help with trigger pull. To what other effect it would have on the marker, I can't say for sure. That's something we'll cross down the road here. No, this spring doesn't want to come out, and I think I'm just gonna not. It's got some sort of wedge in there, and we'll just leave it in there because that can sometimes be, when you're trying to push all this stuff back together, this wants to slip off the bottom here, so we'll leave it like that for now. I'm gonna be flat out honest here, guys. I'm not gonna do any sort of disassembly with this actual trigger mechanism here. It does appear the same as the SD. Obviously, the valve is 100% different here. So when they say new valve, they meant new valve. Now let's see if I can just slip this guy back in here. Prefer to not have to do a whole bunch of stuff after. Nah, whatever. I'll leave it for now. I'm gonna set this aside so I don't pop anything. Okay, let's get to the valve here and see what is going on. So it would appear here where this fits back into the valve, that may not be a restrictor. It may be an alternate method of making a nice seal there. Because you can see in an SD, this pretty much was just a drilled hole with a O-ring, much like this side. This one has that little stud and an O-ring. That's one of your detents there. That would be part of your indicator. That's what pops your indicator. And I've noticed it doesn't have a hook like the SD did. I always wonder if the SD, the indicator had more of a hook on it, much like this detent here, and if that actually maybe slowed your balls down a little. I see this one, it's more just a flat. You can see when it's down, it doesn't really grab your balls. Whereas the detent has that hook. So originally the SD had more of a hook like that on this as well. So it's grabbing your balls in two different locations. Well, where do we go from here? It's almost like they don't want you to tamper with this. There's some sort of locking ring around this. I don't recognize it though. There is an Allen key here on the end. I'm assuming this was how they machined it and then plugged the hole here. But it may be retaining this valve itself. So you can see there's no internal spring in this. See how it doesn't kick back, so. Really want to see what's inside this. Because there was a diffuser in the SD and that added a couple FPS. I also don't want to bugger this thing up too bad. Let's see. It's like I don't have an Allen key that fits it. Oh, there we go. Being careful here because I don't know what's inside this. So I'm undoing this backing cap here. Not sure why this isn't coming out. Oh, cap came off, so there is tiny, it's a plug essentially with an O-ring on the end there. All right, I just had to get some fuel and some picks. Very curious about what is going on in here. I don't think my picks are long enough. Okay, so I used a small Allen key here. I was able to stick it down the inside here. It's already kind of pre-popped out. I was able to pull this brass plug here. And there is a spring in it. Like that, see that? There is a spring and another little O-ring you can see right there. I don't want to really pull it apart. I feel like I might tear that O-ring. Well, you know what? We got to see what's in there. There is there's a little hole drilled. Oh, sorry guys, it was out of focus. See if I can get this out of here. There's a hole in the end there. Another little guy right there. So imagine that is what is filling the chamber. And it's spring loaded so that when the chamber is full, the valve can close. So I'm going to set that aside again. And this nubbin here at the end can actually push it out. So that section is now wide open. Now this has, it's like a ferrule. Definitely meant to interact with this piece. And I can, whoa, hey. Oh, there's just that, you know what that is in there? It's a spring. Look at that. So that piece I'm seeing there is actually a spring. It's not a... Yeah, look at that. It almost looks like the spring that goes on the indicator. Oh, and by the way, I found that spring. It fell inside the marker, that's why I couldn't find it. All right, well, you're making some headway. Funny why they'd have a spring on there, but I mean, the original didn't. The original just plugged in like this. Imagine it makes for a more reliable system, although I've seen some unreliability issues of late. All right, well, next is I want to get in there. It looks like it's a more traditional spool valve, like a TIPX, but in a miniature version. So that should be interesting, but I gotta get this ring off of here. It's like an overlapping sort of snap ring, and I don't know how I'm gonna do that yet. So for now, I'm going to, I want to see inside this thing as much as you guys do. Well, maybe I want to see it more. But I think I'm going to need some different tools here, and it's almost breakfast time. So when I crack this code to get this thing open, I will definitely post up a follow-up. In the meantime, my SD is gonna be my every day until I can figure this thing out. But as you can see, the valve is, whoa, it's out there, guys, it's out there. So really need to figure out how to get this collar, this locking ring out of here. And I'm curious about this sort of fitment of these sort of air fittings in here, orifices, so I like to call them. Because they may play a part in that kind of wild FPS swing that we see with this, where it starts really good and then just peters out. My ultimate goal here is, I mean, if I got a mag or two worth at, say, 25 joules, that would be great. 25 is sufficient, but you need more of the 25. Now, I get it, this thing isn't meant for kinetics. It was designed for pepper rounds, but doesn't mean we can't make it better for kinetics. So, all right, that is all for now. And I'll update you guys, I promise. I promise. So, if you haven't subscribed, do it now. Do it now.